I recently had the opportunity to visit Puerto Rico and Vieques and saw firsthand myself the beauty of the island and, of course, the continued impacts that the hurricanes have had on basic infrastructure, including the electric grid. In fact, numerous people while I was visiting shared that they had lived for months without electricity on Vieques in the wake of Hurricane Maria. And as we've heard this morning, many have continued to experience blackouts across the island as part of their daily lives. Access to electricity is not only a necessity, but a basic human right. Without it, medical facilities cannot operate, children cannot study, businesses cannot remain open, and daily life is disrupted in countless ways. Since LUMA took over energy transmission and distribution, residents are reporting that they are paying twice as much as mainland customers for electricity, and that power is going out 3 to 4 times a day. These blackouts affect, as we've heard this morning, hundreds of thousands of people and demonstrate the clear need to modernize Puerto Rico's electric grid and address these operational issues. This challenge is particularly acute in Puerto Rico in large part because it is an island, but is also a challenge that communities across the US are facing. In fact, just last year, we saw in Texas as a downed electric grid affected millions who had no heat and water for days in the wake of a major storm. The need to modernize our grid across the US has reached a major inflection point in terms of ensuring the safety and well-being of our communities and meeting the moment of our clean energy revolution and addressing climate change. That's why in New Mexico, I worked with colleagues on both sides of the aisle to help pass a bipartisan grid modernization bill just this last year, because modernizing our grid is both a humanitarian issue and a necessity for tackling climate change. The people of Puerto Rico, as has been discussed, recognize the importance of this transition and the need for renewables. But unfortunately, in February of this year, 16 commercial solar projects that would have generated 593 megawatts of electricity were rejected, leaving the island dependent on a coal-fired power plant and non-renewable resources. The transition to renewables and modernization of the grid are crucial to the residents of the island and also to climate action across the country and the planet. As the devastation of Hurricane Maria has demonstrated, and as the world watched, we know that the federal government did not respond and act in good faith, and we're still seeing those impacts today. And I believe it is the federal government's responsibility to ensure that our communities are safe and their basic needs are met. And so I believe it is our responsibility to not only, as Congress, conduct oversight, but to also support the needs of Puerto Rico and the communities in addressing these issues. The people of New Mexico and my district stand united with the people of Puerto Rico in demanding energy justice and grid modernization and the social, economic, and environmental imperative of doing so. And with that, I would like to just take a moment to ask a question of Mr. Gill. Mr. Gill, thank you so much for being here today. It appears, and as was just asked, the Fiscal Oversight and Management Board recently voted to reject this 450 megawatts of solar projects and has recently stated that it may reject up to 1,000 megawatts of renewable projects that are currently being teed up. Combined with the other challenges that we've heard this morning in terms of providing electricity, it's clear that the system is in dire need of modernization. We've heard from a few of the witnesses this morning, but can you please share with us, one, what you believe can be done, what is needed to bring these renewables online and transition the grid to a more stable and resilient power system, and how the federal government, especially as we are working right now to pass an infrastructure and reconciliation bill, can help and support Puerto Rico as and the utility as it is embarking on building a more resilient grid.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for that question. And from the complexity of it, obviously, I mean, there's had been like process that they started back in 2012, and around almost like the same amount that we're putting out there for renewable energy, more than 3,000 megawatts, was supposed to be already built. You know, things happened that they took away those. Actually, in these, like recently, we submit to the FOMB around 150 megawatts only that they were requested that they comply with our MTRs, and also they also were the amount that the grid as itself can resist right now. So answering to your question, it's something that it's not that we're saying that it cannot be done, but right now it's not feasible and it can bring some problems to the grid as is. Nonetheless, some combination of repairs of new of the turbines that they're completely broken or they can be shaped with different sorts of power or gas. For example, changing bunker fuel for LNG will give a more sustainable and can help us obviously move into the future with a more stable generating fleet, and at the same time looking forward to comply with all the Act 17 mandates regarding renewables.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.